Little button here and that little button there. Watch the magic happen. You're live. Now what you can see that start floating around like that in just a second. All right. Stop. Mama, if you watch, you know. 10 seconds. Now 10 seconds means. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the fifth quarter show for this week's edition of Sports in Gatesville. And we've got a special guest here tonight, Coach Aaron Hunter, veteran to the show now. Been here a few times. And we're going to be talking some football, closing out district and talking about the playoffs coming up. But before we do that, we've got a little bit of a treat, something that we have not done at all this year as far as players of the week for football. And did you get a chance to look at the poll that we put out there?
Yes, I did.
There was a lot of votes that went in. We did our own little, just a fan poll. You know,
we told them it didn't count, but we wanted to say it anyway.
We told them it's just for fun. It don't mean nothing.
It doesn't mean we're going to use it.
That kind of means you really don't value the opinion, don't it?
We do.
We wanted to see what your opinion was, but we were going to use ours in the long run. That's what it was. But anyway, it was fun to see how some of the folks voted and who got votes and everything else. And if you care for those results, I'm not going to tell them to you. You can look on Facebook and see that for yourself. But anyway, we made our selection for this evening, and without further ado, I'm going to let Josh take it away. And here's what we're going to do. These are our players of the week. Surprise! Everybody wave at the camera. There you go. Smile, pretty.
So before we introduce them one at a time, we just want to talk a little bit about the progression of the offensive line and how well they played. And improved throughout the season. First couple games were rough. Wesley was running, scrambling, trying to stay out of hands of defenders. But as the season's progressed, they've gotten better. And so the last two games, 12 rushing touchdowns in the interior in 2 games, right? That's huge. That's owning the offensive line and having your way with the defensive line. So.
You know, when push comes to shove.
So they've done a great job, and so we just want to bring them in here and congratulate them. And we'll start off with number 79, Evan Hansen.
Come on down.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Let's go back.
Yeah, see that.
All right. Whoa. Take it. Stay right there. There goes Mr. Evan Hansen. Look at the screen. Anybody you want to say hi to?
My family. Tell them. Hi.
Thanks for joining us. You did an outstanding job.
Yep, great job. Keep up the good work. Next, we got number 72, Jaynes Gomez.
Hey, Jay.
Come on up here.
I can see which helmet is the most destroyed.
That's what I was looking at.
I know, that's what it.
They're all different
That's
guys.
very rough.
That shows you the work that's put in right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of work in those trenches. So. Appreciate you, Jay.
Great job. Keep up good work.
Say something.
Congratulations, it's well deserved.
All right, 68, Zach Swindoll.
And easy.
You might have to dump the camera
Easy.
here.
Easy.
Okay.
Where you going from easy? Right there. Got you, bud.
Nope.
I'd like to say what's up to my family.
Yeah. You go.
Thank you to Coach Jacob Hunter.
There
That's
we
Coach
go.
Hunter.
There we go.
My fans, say hi to your fans, too. Thank you, fans. Hey, great job. Keep up good work.
When are you signing autographs now?
Awesome. All right, number 55, Braden Minton. Come on up here, Braden.
Look at him, he's all grown now, ain't he?
I'm telling you,
Big.
we called games with these young men in esports football. Some time ago.
Yeah, we've seen him grow up. We were just talking with Stephen over there and Braden too. You know, these guys, we used to watch them in the first and second grade division where the helmet was bigger than they were. And running around with the helmet hanging sideways.
Keep up good work. Number 54, Stephen Bomer. Come on up here, Bomer.
I got a question for you, Stephen.
Uh-oh.
Can you throw a spiral?
Yeah.
Jaynes. Oh,
That's a nice spiral.
Look at that hornet trying to get away from his helmet.
Man, that's just violence. Yeah. Hey, great job, Homer.
Good job, Bob.
Tell Mom
Hey,
that.
say- yeah, there you go. Tell them they can honk anytime they want. Please don't do that.
Number 58, Zach Bryant.
There's Mr. Pooh Bear right here. Pooh Bear.
Oh, goodness.
He's going to be around for a while. Zach just,
What class are you in?
Sophomore.
Sophomore.
That's 24.
where you want to be?
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
You like pushing people around?
Yeah.
It's fun.
What Zach does most is he loves the weight room, so he's going to continue to get big.
Right. Hey, great job. Say hi.
Great job. Who you gonna say hi? You don't know who to say hi to? Who's your biggest fan?
I'll go with my mom.
There you go.
All right, thanks, man.
Zach loves his mom.
All right, now we got number 7, quarterback Wesley Brown.
Man himself.
Friday night, Wesley was 5 for 9 passing with 26 rushes for 179 yards and 7 rushing touchdowns.
Gosh,
7.
7 rushing touchdowns. He's been 12 in 2 games.
That's more than one hand.
Statistically, he's got 196 rushes on the season for 1,035 yards and 23 touchdowns. So, great job. Keep up the good work.
Now hold right there.
Thank you, guys.
Hold right there. Now, courtesy of one of our cohorts here, Dusty Boyd, you got a new nickname now. Got a new nickname now. So, do you know what it is? Your new nickname is UPS. What can Brown do for you?
He's like, oh.
But it also the UPS stands for unexpected points scored. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that right there. You like what I did there? Thank you. So anyway, that's whenever we refer to you as UPS, you know that Brown delivers, right?
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us once again. How many of that? Wait.
You got a bunch.
Look at that. Show that to the camera right there.
5.
5.
All right. Nice.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Actually, there's supposed to be 6 on there, but
His is actually pretty clean too.
Yeah.
Those guys are all messed up, so his is pretty clean.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
now-
clean because theirs is messed
Yeah.
up.
I'm going to tell you something, and Coach will back me up on this, but there are quarterbacks and running backs in the NFL, okay, that buy gifts for their offensive linemen regularly when they look good. Because what's his name?
Zeke Elliott.
Zeke Elliott bought his whole offensive line, laptops and watches. Yeah.
I did donuts.
He knows the way to their heart. I know that. All right, thanks for joining us, Wesley, and good luck Friday night.
Appreciate you, Wes.
All right, Coach, that was a long list tonight, huh?
Yeah.
Let me see, that might be the boss texting in. All right, we're good to go. All right, Friday night, we go over and we play in Gerald, and that's our first time to play in Gerald.
It is. It's the first time to play over there. And they were a good team. You know, they won their first 2 games early in the year, and then had really struggled. But looking at their offense, they were a very explosive offense. We knew that. They got a really, really good quarterback, probably the best we saw all year throwing the ball. And we knew that it could be a shootout. And so for us to get some big stops early defensively, and then for them to rush the ball and run like we did offensively, they took control of the game and kind of put it away. And then especially late, put it away when we were able to seal it with those touchdowns late. So.
Yeah. So kind of a turnover battle early in the game. It seemed like your defense would do a great job and come up and get the picks and the fumble recoveries, and then we would give it back. So tell me about that and how that.
Well, looking at them, they're very good skill-wise. It's kind of the opposite of Robinson. Robinson was very, very big up front and had a really big offensive line. Skilled players, they're young and still kind of coming up. Gerald's kind of exact opposite. They had really good skill and a good quarterback, but we knew up front we could get some pressure on the quarterback. We knew we had to. If we gave him some time, he could put the ball in the money. And so we brought the pressure. He threw us some balls early, and then we just offensively kind of couldn't get our wheels going early in the game. But then once they settled in, and then right now we're just lining up and nobody can stop setting up the middle. Offensive line did a great job. Wesley run the ball hard. When you're sitting on the sideline and you see 4 or 5 yards a pop, and then he busts a big one because he's just hard to tackle over and over and over. It's good to see, and kudos to the offense for doing that and rushing for 7 touchdowns. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. He only had 16 rushes for 99.
Yeah, he ran it all well, but Wesley, that's 7 touchdowns. That's
And that was the main reason that we wanted to recognize the offensive line tonight, because I told Josh, we talked about it earlier, I believe it was Monday, and I told him, I said, the offensive line was playing like Moses, man, because they were parting areas that Brown was getting past the defensive line easily, and then he was taking care of the secondary on his own.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we ran for 7 touchdowns. That shows that, they can't stop it. And you look at the previous week, I mean, that's how we were in that game. Instead of up front, we were hitting them. We're running outside. We're running right up there, right down the throat. And like you guys said, starting to show, the most improved group by far in our football team was those guys.
I agree.
And last time I was on the show, I gave them some kudos. I'll give it to them again. They're the first ones at the field house every day. They meet every morning. And those 6 that are up there, and they meet every day. And then they sit there and they watch film, and they get better. And it's definitely shown. So kudos to them.
Yep. There we go.
Now, I don't know if you remember, but I got a question. Brown threw a deep pass early in the game. I believe it was in the second quarter. And it looked like to me and Josh that it was a tie between the coverage and the receiver that come down with it. What actually happened on that? Why did they get the ball after they threw it?
So yeah, it was a little sucker route, and Wesley threw it. It was a good ball. Parker went up, caught it. But we were yelling the same thing. I don't know if you saw us on the sideline. We were pretty upset about it too, because most of the time you see the tie goes to the offense.
Right.
As we're going to the ground, we look at the film. What the ref saw is their DB actually, as they're falling to the ground, Parker's kind of falling off to the side, and he has more leverage, and he rips it. And so the first thing that ref sees is that guy with the ball, and Parker just hands him. So he actually had possession. It was a good call.
It's all about angle.
It was what he saw. And, Parker, of course, fought it back. But by the first thing, this way the first thing he saw was that guy ripped it off and had it.
He was pretty quick to give it to his defense. So that's what I thought. We weren't sure, but that was a tough one.
And both of the guys, the receiver and the DB in that, they both made a great play on it. That was probably one of the longest passes I've seen Brown throw in the season.
He found money, and like I said, Parker made a great catch. He was up over the guy at a weird angle. And they kind of fell to the ground. Like I said, that guy just kind of got a little more leverage than Parker did, and kind of ripped it out, and that's what he gave it to him.
So, defensively, we looked at that game, and it seemed like we had pretty good coverage. We had some size disadvantages on the outside. That made some big plays right there. But I thought the defense did a really good job on coverage against a talented receiver. Who stood out for you on that defensive back?
Really, all of them. We went kind of mid-year. We went to like a 5 DB package. Kind of changed up what we're doing a little bit, just kind of fit our kids better. Kind of let Hayden Mooney stay in the other field, let him roam, and be kind of a free player, let him run the ball out, which he has all year. But if I had to say anybody, Jacob Baker's been a consistent kid. He missed some games early in the year, but throughout my time here the last 2 years, he does things that he should not do every Friday. And this year we moved him from corner, which was his good home position last year. First team all-district corner last year, just because that's what we needed on our football team. We lost Aiden Nesser early on in the year with ACL against Lano, so we kind of trying to fill the void at safety, and we really didn't have anybody. So when Jacob came back, we kind of put him there. And he's done an incredible job. But all those guys did, and we told them, they're very skilled. They're more athletic than we are. Be ready to jump routes. We're going to get pressure, and whenever you have all those interceptions, most of the time it's something happening up front.
Right.
If you look at Cully, Cade Mata, Cooper Sutton, Smiley, Mason Mooney, and Teely and those guys, and Lucas Garcia, he never stepped into it. He was throwing everything off his back foot, and the one he threw to Lawson, I think he threw to Lawson, he was actually falling down as we were sacking him and threw it right to Lawson. And so all those guys did really well. But if I had to name one that's just continually impressed me and does things he should not be able to do, is Jacob Baker.
And that's 2 names we called a bunch Friday. That was Mason and Cully. They're coming off the
Right.
outside and just crashing.
They were getting there.
Man, they were.
They were
Big
getting
hits
there.
every time. They were tough to block even when the back's trying to get them. So
We set a big goal because we knew, like I said, we knew we had to get pressure. So we set a goal of 4 sacks. That was our goal. They kept coming to the sideline. They said, "Coach, I'm so close. Just catch the throws. I'm there. I promise." Cully, He's so quick off that edge.
Oh, yeah.
And Mata, Mata played a really good game.
Mata played a good game, yeah.
He was getting a lot of
Absolutely.
pressure.
And not many quarterbacks can play that have gotten those passes off.
Right, no.
No.
He is impressive.
And with his skill level to get them downfield and
Oh, man.
pretty accurate.
The ball we watched, the ball he threw on Parker, the fade ball, was like 40 yards in the air, and he threw it off his back foot getting hit. And he put it on the money. I mean, it was over the shoulder. It was a great ball. Parker's in good coverage, but he threw that on the money. He's a good player. He's only a junior, so yeah.
Wow. Well, I think, just one final kudos to the defense on this is, Jacob was telling us when he was here last week, that they even pulled some trickery. We saw him try a couple of double reverses, so forth like that. It actually didn't turn into a double reverse. It was turned into a double no because the defense they were back there and.
Well, we prepared. Last year that game was crazy. They did every trick play and they executed every one. I don't know if you were here last year.
Yes.
Like Statue of Liberty. They started the game with a toss pass. They did a double reverse pass. They did a flea flicker. They did it all. They completed on big plays almost all week. We threw in the script. Reverse, double reverse, talk to our kids. And it kind of goes back to that. Don't give up the big play. Make them drive on us. They're not going to drive it on us. We're going to stop them. Just don't give up the big play by being out of your gap or not doing your responsibility. And man, they did. They did a phenomenal job. They did a really good job defensively right now.
And one other thing that we wondered about is Cade Mata had a punt one situation there. I think it was our first punt of the game with Mata, and we were wondering, did he get the green light on that? Because it appeared that he started to run with it, and then he apparently saw something he didn't like, and then
he wanted to. So Coach Harris giving him the green light. He did that against who was it against? Glenrose.
Yep.
And I'm in the box that game, and I'm like, what is he doing? Because I didn't tell him to do it. And he said, Coach Howard gave me the green light. So Coach Howard gave him the green light. So he did. He came aside and said, Coach, I probably could have got that. But it's kind of up to him. A kid like Mata, you can trust him in those situations. You can give him the opportunity.
Yeah.
And he'll make the best decision. And he said, I could have gotten it. I said, well, I'm glad you did because we're playing pretty good defense right now. Just kidding.
Well, it kind of appeared that way because he started rolling towards the side we were on, and he probably ran up about 5 yards, and then all of a sudden we saw him lay that ball out, and I was like, I said he had the green, he was about to.
He did think about it.
All right, so it all worked out. We got the big win on Gerald and got into the playoffs as we, I called the game last week, just saying.
2 years in a row.
Yeah, 2 years in a row. So, yeah, that's it. I like that. We got, so now it's the same thing, same scenario. Not only is it 2 years in a row in the playoffs, but the same team 2 years in a row. And we're going to actually get to play them this year.
We're going to go play them.
Yeah, so here's the big question. The Bulldogs in their last 2 games have scored 110 points and only give up 3.
They are, you don't win 9 state championships out of the last 11 and not be good. They're good.
Yep.
They're good. They're established. One of the first things we noticed about them is you look at the roster. There are 2 sophomores, and there's 41 juniors.
Wow.
And so, you just think,
Wow.
and that roster's full. We didn't kind of mean the word, but they're out there fighting out with a bunch of guys. But Coach Surratt has done a phenomenal job there. And it shows. You don't play at AT&T every year for nothing. And they're a good football team. They are. We tell our kids that when we talked to them on Saturday morning or Monday morning when they came in. We said, we know what we have. But just like Coach Howard says every week, that opponent doesn't matter. It's about what we do, our process, the work we put in, and then when that ball kicks off Friday night, anybody can win on a Friday night. And so that's kind of what our mindset's been all year, and that's what it's going to be this week.
What is it that they do that they put so many points up? What is it that they do the best?
Well, offensively, they're actually, last year they were extremely explosive offensively, and that kind of led them. They won the state championship game last year, like 77-12 or something like that. Yeah, and they were younger defensively. This year they were turned down on defense, and so they're playing really, really good defense. And they've said, and you read back through some of the news articles like I do during the week, they say they struggle early on offense. What they do well is they are extremely athletic on the perimeter. They have some really good receivers and good backs, and they're really big up front. But they formation you and shift into things, and they get you in situations. I drew up formation Saturday morning. I drew up 82 of them.
Oh, wow.
And so
That's a big playbook.
it is, and it's hard to work on that, in a couple weeks, and you got to be simple enough that your kids can, because our deal is, hey, we've got to know what we're doing and play fast. And so they kind of tie your hands a little bit on, you can't be exotic. You kind of got to be able to play, because they'll line up an empty, and you'll see Friday night, they'll line up an empty, and then they'll shift to pro, tight end, 2-back, under center with the same personnel. And so you got to be kind of base in what you do. That's what we're going to do is we tell our kids all week. Watch the film, watch the stuff, get the big hoorah out of the way, because they look good, they're athletic, they put up a lot of points. But let's go out there Friday night, and when that thing kicks off at 7:00, let's just go, do what we do and play our brand of football, and that's what we're going to try to do.
I think the exciting thing about this playoff game is we have a lot of football players on the team that would have been playing in that playoff game last year that are in this game this year, and they've had a whole year to mature into what they're doing and be ready for Friday night.
Well, and that was my message to defense on Monday was, if you look at some of these seniors that have played, they played their sophomore year that wasn't a very good year, and they really weren't ready to play on varsity, but they did. You talk about Jacob Baker, Caden Mott, Hayden, Wesley, you name them. They played, at 125 pounds out there against some really good teams. Mm-hmm. And I said, guys, look where you've come. And, talking to underclassmen, I said, these seniors have earned every right for us to go give it everything we got right now. They've been through the fire. Yep. And canceling the game last year. That wasn't easy for anybody. I remember Coach Harry walked in the locker room and said that. And just the faces you saw and the coaches' faces. And that stung. And so I think you're right. I think those guys, we're hungry. We're going to go give everything we got, and the scoreboard take care of itself, and worry about what we can worry about, control what we control, and give it our all Friday at 7:00.
What worried me last year going to that playoff game was we had a small team, a young team, and I was worried about getting kids hurt. Mm-hmm. That was my concern, was going to play in a team. Oh, yeah. Like we'd seen how dominant they were, and coming back, kids hurt. I don't have that worry this year. I think this is a tougher football team. It's a stronger football team, an older football team, So I'm excited for it. I think they've got a good shot at it.
No, yeah,
but it's a tough game.
It is.
They're going to go out there and battle, right?
Big challenge. Oh,
yeah, they're not going to back down.
These guys, I was amazed when I took this job 2 years ago. I watched the film from the year before, the 0-10 year, and you look at a Hayden Mooney and you look at those top kids. They played so hard as sophomores, and the game would be, you go to the fourth quarter and it'd be 50 to something to nothing, and he would still be playing as hard as he did play one.
Right.
And that's what got me excited about coming here, because when you have that in a kid, and you watch Hayden Mooney on Friday, it's hard. I grade him. It's hard to find a play that he does not go as hard as he possibly can. It's hard to find one out of a game of out of a 72 plays of defense, and then plus the 40 plays of offense he plays. Right. He just does. Coach Jaynes telling me, it's a funny story. Coach Jaynes saying Friday night he's calling a play on offense, and he's looking at the huddle. He's like, "Where's the running back?" And Hayden's like, "Coach," he's over, he's throwing up. He's throwing up right there, right beside the huddle, and then goes against the huddle and goes and runs the ball. That's just Hayden. I mean, when you have kids like that, you always got a shot on Friday. I'm just telling you. You don't matter who you're playing. I mean, those kids, him, and like I said, it's just that group of seniors. I don't name all of them. Like Hanson's one of them. Those guys have been through the fire, and like you said, they're going to go out there and they're not scared. Yeah. I think they're going to go play. It is a big challenge, obviously. But they're going to play, and they're going to give it their all, and we're going to walk off that field right now with our heads held high.
Absolutely.
What else you got, man?
That's it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Friday?
Oh, I'm at 10. I mean, here's the deal: is you get to go play the best. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. What an opportunity. You get to go play one of the best programs in the entire state of Texas.
The last decade.
Probably one of the best dynasties to ever play. I mean, and you got nothing to lose. I mean, you got absolutely nothing to lose. And from a defense perspective, I'm playing one of the, Coach Surratt is very good offensively. Mm-hmm. And he does a good job finding weaknesses by those formations and motions. And so just to go against that, as a young defensive coordinator and go give them all and let the kids go play, I mean, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
It sounds like he's ready to test himself as well. I'm ready to test myself as well as the defense. Got my clipboard right here, a little red tablet book.
That's it.
All right, Coach, well, thank you again for joining us as always. We hope you have a good time when you're on the show. You've already gave us your 10 rating on how excited you are for the game. The game will be in Athens, and kickoff is at 7 p.m.
Early kickoff.
Yeah, not 7:30, 7 p.m. And here's the time for the water in the eyes part. Unfortunately, the game will not be brought to you by Hornet Broadcasting because the first choice goes to NHS Broadcasting. They got the rights first, and so you'll have to find the link if you want to watch that game streamed. You'll have to find that link on their network, and I think that's a paid subscription that you got to do to watch that. So they can't bring it to you free like we can. Anyway,
We apologize. Wish we could.
wish we could. So I'm going to be watching it just like everybody else. So I'm gonna get to enjoy one from the house this time. So
There you go.
take a breather before we get into basketball, but we got to finish up football here first. And final question of the night.
What's happening?
You ready for it?
I'm ready.
You sure? No political answers, okay? I want to.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see what kind of question it is.
It's not terrible.
That's
Here's the question for you. And this is a little more serious than a lot of them, and I thought about this a lot all week because of questions I get asked. But we got the playoff scenario coming up, and it's a number 4 seed versus a number 1 seed.
Right.
And, I get a lot of folks come up to me and say, well, did the Hornets really earn their way to the playoffs? So my question to you is, I'm going to give you open mic right now and address those people. Did the Hornets earn their way to the playoffs?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't see how you don't say go over to Robinson and go into Gerald and get wins. It's not earning win the playoffs. There's a lot of teams that Monday morning when hung up their shoulder pads and their helmets, they were done.
Yeah.
A lot of seniors into their football careers Friday on a football field somewhere, and ours earned their way to go earn another week. And so for them, anybody say that we may not have earned that, I don't know where they're coming from that, but our kids, they put in the work, and not just this football season, but starting, from that sophomore year for these seniors, they've earned every right to go play on Friday night and go get the opportunity to go play the number 1 team in the state, and go give them our best swing that we can.
Well, I want to add to that because I like that answer, but here's my addition to that, and I have told a few people, Gatesville don't set the guidelines on what it takes to get there. What we do is we accomplish achieving those guidelines. We've done that. This is the next step.
That's right.
If we met those guidelines, then these kids deserve it. So bottom line is I think this is a 3-way unanimous. Yes, they earned their way to the playoffs.
Yep.
So, and if you don't think they earned their way to the playoffs, then watch some more TV, read some more books, learn about football, athletic competition, and so forth.
Come back later.
Come back and talk to me later. How about that?
And I'll say this, I gotta say this too, and if you line up our kids on a Friday night against any team we played all year, line them up athletically, size, anything, we've probably been unmatched every single game. And they go out there and they play 130 pounds like a 160 pounder.
Yeah.
So they've definitely earned it.
Well, and I guess another recap on that to say how they've earned it is yes, we've suffered losses last season and this season, but one thing that you can say about every loss that the Hornets have faced is there's not one single kid that quit playing before that final buzzer sounded. I mean, they gave it 150%, which 150% don't exist. It's 100%, but they go above and beyond that, and I've seen the true epitome of Hornet fight never dies in every loss that we've had this
Oh,
season.
yeah, that's the standard of Gatesville 500 football.
Yep. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to give you an opportunity on that because I love being able to address folks whenever they do that and stuff. And another thing that I addressed this week was folks talking about how great of a game Wesley Brown had, which Wesley did have a great game. But I told him, I said, folks, you got to look beyond that outer skin layer. I said, because if Wesley Brown had that great of a game, how awesome was that offensive line playing? Because without them, Wesley Brown gets killed in the backfield. You know what I mean?
2 weeks in a row, too. 2 weeks in a row, they've handled them up front.
That's it, folks. Anyway,
we're all out of time
now. It's been fun. Now it's time for the playoffs. This is Lee Jaynes
Josh Godfrey.
saying good night.